Hey, welcome to 50% Political. Some of you might know me as Fitty from my other YouTube channel, 50% Tactical, which is a gun-specific channel. With this channel, I'm going to be talking about politics, obviously, right? And I hope to get a good discussion in the comments on all the videos that I post, whatever the subject is. I'm finally making the first video for this channel because of a couple of incidents that happened recently involving police shooting a couple of teenage boys. You saw a clip of one of the shootings at the beginning of this video, but I'm going to save that one for last, and for good reason. Okay, the first video we're going to talk about is this one.
Hey, driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, please. Pulled you over there because you flashed me. I didn't even have my brakes on.
Yes, you did, sir.
Driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, please. I did not have them on. Driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, please.
I don't even know you're an officer.
It involves an 18-year-old kid driving at night, and he sees the car in the oncoming traffic lane with its pretty bright headlights, so he thought he had his brights on. So he did what a lot of people do, and they flashed their brights on to let the other person know so they can turn their brights off. Well, what he didn't know is that was a police officer. And the kid kind of starts off right away with like an attitude, like he wants to assert his rights, which is a good thing, but he kind of got his little rights confused in an area.
Am I being detained?
Yes, you are.
For what crime?
You flashed me with your high beams.
You had your lights on, sir.
You do not have your driver's license on your person, correct?
Yes, I do.
Where is it?
You do not have to see it. I cannot see you had your lights on, sir. I'm not lying to you. I was just doing that to be polite. I don't want you to flash someone and have someone go off the road and crash. You know?
Do you realize that if you had complied with this traffic stop, it would have gone a whole different way for you?
When you're out in public walking around, a cop just can't come up to you and demand to see your identification unless he suspects you of a crime. But if you are operating a motor vehicle, he can actually ask you, and you have to show him the identification, proof of insurance, and registration. Make sure you're legal. That's probably as far as this stop would have went if the kid didn't have an attitude. He said, you know, am I being detained? I don't have to show you my ID unless I've committed a crime, which he was right if he was on public walking, not in a motor vehicle. And the kid, he is recording this whole situation on his cell phone. I think he was going to use it maybe to upload to YouTube to show, hey, you know, some cop tried to pull me over and I showed him what was up. Well, it goes back and forth between the cop and the teen. Eventually, the cop orders the kid out of the car.
You can get with the program and start to comply with this traffic stop, or you're going to be taken to jail.
The officer calls for backup as the situation escalates.
Out of the car or you're going to get tased. Everything's being recorded, son. I got no problem with that. Get out of the car.
Yes.
Get down on the ground now. Down on the ground
Oh my
now.
gosh, stop yelling at me.
Down on the ground. Right here, facing me. Down on the ground now.
What do you mean?
Get on your belly right now.
This is what American...
Put your phone down and put your arms out to your side now.
When the kid gets out of the car, he makes sure he grabs his cell phone and he turns and he makes sure he's trying to record the officer the whole time, even though the officer already has a body cam on. The kid gets out of the car and the officer tells him to get down on the ground. Well, he goes to his knees and he acts like he doesn't really know what to do. And the officer says, no, flat on your stomach. And the kid still acts like he doesn't know what to do. And then the officer comes up to him when he's finally on the ground on his stomach and kicks the phone out of his hand.
Are you all... I don't have a weapon. Hey!
Get your...
You can't do that!
Get your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
Just about 90 seconds before backup arrives, Sergeant Frost tases Guilford, but he's too close for it to work properly.
The kid started fighting back with the officer. And when he started fighting back, the officer took his taser and he went to tase him right there. But something went wrong. I don't know if there was a distance problem. I'm not trained on taser, but it didn't work that well. And the kid practically bucked the police officer off of him. And when he did that, the kid got up and pretty much lunged at the officer and attacked him.
Roughly 14 seconds later, you hear gunshots.
You can see the attack if you slow down the officer's body cam video. You can see it.
Take a look at this slow-mo, frame by frame. You can make the scuffle out just a little more clearly.
In the aftermath, you see the officer in the ambulance, there's blood all over his face and stuff like that, where, proof that this kid was, really doing something. And when the officer got bucked off and started getting attacked by this kid, he obviously dropped his taser, pulled out his weapon, and I think fired 7 times, or at least hitting the kid around 7 times. Sadly, the kid ended up dying. The officer's going to have to live with that. Now, of course, looking back at this right now, hindsight is 2020, and I wasn't in that position. Now, a lot of people weren't in that position. It's tough to say what you would do. I think other actions could have been taken by both the officer and the kid. If the kid wasn't a little jerk in the beginning, it wouldn't happen. But one thing that I really hate is this whole, if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't be afraid of the cops. If a cop wants to charge you with something, he will find something to charge you with. He will find it. So be courteous. But I don't know if this kid has ever actually encountered law enforcement before. When I was a kid, my dad took me out, and he was a MP in the military, and then he was a sheriff's deputy, and then after that, when he went to retire, he became a corrections officer, so that, kind of a little less stressful job, even though it was still stressful before his retirement. And he actually took me out when I turned 16, and he would pull me over, and he would see how I reacted to him pulling me over. And then he would tell me, okay, you did this wrong, you did this right, don't do this, don't do that. I know everyone's father isn't a police officer, but I think people should already have the knowledge of how to react. I mean, it's kind of like common courtesy, I think that first situation there is kind of fault lies on both sides. The kid was trying to flex his rights and doing it not so well, and the cop was trying to show his authority over this kid, this little punk kid maybe. This next video is what actually made me start doing my 50% political channel, and it really upset me when I saw it. It's another teenage kid. He's going to buy some marijuana. What he didn't know was that he was actually buying marijuana from an undercover cop. When he pulled up in his car to buy, when the sale went down, the undercover cop said, "Hey, you're under arrest." And then the other cop that's in the video, you see the squad car dash cam, he pulls in behind the kid to make sure he can't back out. He gets out of his car and he rushes the kid's car and says, "Hey, you're under arrest, you're under arrest." And he has his pistol out. Well, the kid puts his car in gear, pulls out around the officer, and the officer is standing on the driver's side, right outside the driver's side door, and he's about 2 feet away from the car, and he's sidestepping, telling this kid to stop, stop, stop. When the kid gets around him finally and can pretty much take off, you hear the gunshot, and the officer shot the kid, and he ended up dying. Now, the officer shoots the kid, and it's almost like he shot him to make him stop because he was going to get away. Right after he shoots the kid, the cop and the car go off screen, and you see the undercover cop walking past. And then after that, that's when you hear the cop that shot the kid say that he was trying to run me over. And that's the key in giving the police officer authorization to use lethal force to defend himself, because the kid could have injured, possibly killed him with that car. But the key term is it reasonable? Is it reasonable to think that officer really did fear for his life, like the kid was going to run him over? In my opinion, looking at that video, absolutely not. Okay, when I saw the video and I read the description before the video started playing, I was like, okay, obviously this kid's probably going to try and back over this cop or run him over. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, at no point is this cop really in any danger. He's on the side of the car, about 2, maybe 3 feet away from it. He's fine, but yet he shoots, and then he uses the excuse that he was trying to run me over. That's complete bullshit, especially for a marijuana violation. There's no need for loss of life in that situation. The kid pulled up in his car. You had his license plate number. Could have found out where this kid lives, who he is. You didn't have to shoot him. Maybe follow him, pull him over. Who knows? He was probably scared. He'd probably never been in that type of situation before. Didn't know what to do, and his fight or flight instinct told him to get the out of there. Sorry for my choice of language. 12 years in the Army, I can't help it, right? If that would have been one of my sons in that bust, and I saw the dash cam video of that cop ending my son's life, I would have come completely unhinged, and they would have had to put me in custody for that officer's safety, because that kid did not try to run that officer over, and at no point was that officer in any real danger. Maybe his toes. I don't know about you, but I'd rather get my toes run over than to kill somebody, especially for an offense like that. It's unneeded. And some people think that there's been a certain surge in police brutality lately, and I don't think that's the case. I actually think the police brutality has somewhat come down, especially now that there's cameras everywhere. I just think that because there's cameras everywhere, people tend to record it and then upload it, and then we see more instances, whereas 10 years ago, there weren't cameras in everyone's pocket, so we didn't see everything all the time like we do today, which is practically every week we see something, somebody posts something about the police online. But I do think that there is a problem in police culture that goes to their thin blue line mentality. And essentially, it's an us versus them. The police officers have to stand by, stick up, and even cover for other police officers. And I think when it's a good cop in a bad situation that he had no choice, I think they should stick to that thin blue line mentality. But when it comes to a questionable cop doing something questionable in a bad situation, or even a good cop doing something questionable or unreasonable in a situation, I don't think they should always stand by the police officer. I mean, I get the thin blue line and I understand why, but that shouldn't be their default. That's it for the first 50% political video. I'd like to hear your thoughts and views on this subject in the comments below. If you want to stick around and hear more of my discussions, make sure you subscribe. And no matter if you agree with me or disagree with me, share the video and get a conversation going. You can also stop by the Facebook page to go over topics that aren't discussed via video here on the channel. And I hope you guys stay safe. Peace.